555, number 1, the ordered pairs were 10-8, 11-11, 12-16, 1-27, 2-31, 3-38, and 4-41. Remember, you need parentheses around it and commas separating the two numbers within the parentheses. Questions on the ordered pairs? Okay, the scale. When we talk about the scale, we talk about what are the numbers we're going to start out and finish at on the side. So an appropriate one based on the information that we're given would be to go from 0 to 50, 0 to 50. Then the intervals, how far apart are you going to have your numbers going up the y-axis? And it would have been appropriate to use an interval of 5. 4, you wouldn't have had enough space in the space that was given, so an interval of 5 would have been appropriate. In number 4, you're to make the actual line graph. Well, the title should have been hourly temperature. The y-axis across the bottom would have been time. And then each of those sections would have been 10 a.m., 11 a.m., noon or 12, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., they didn't do it, 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. Up the vertical axis, it would have been temperature in Fahrenheit degrees, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, all the way up to 50. Your graphing of the dots then. At 10 a.m. you would have gone up to 8. At 11 a.m. you would have gone up to 11. You didn't do it? At noon you would have gone up to 16. At 1 you would have gone up to 27. At 2 up to 31. You didn't do it? You didn't do it? No. At 3 you would have gone up to 38. At 4 you would have gone up to 41. You would have connected the dots, and you would have seen that as time went on, the temperature rose. Number 6, between which 2 hours did the least change in temperature occur? From 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and from 3 to 4. And number 7, what was the change in temperature between noon and 4? It was 25 degrees. Any questions on those? Anybody? Did you do it? You didn't have it done either, did you? Did you? You had it done? You didn't have it done, or you did? All right. Today we're going to take a look at if you have a choice of what graph to make, what one is appropriate for the data that you're given. Okay? We've talked about line graphs being changed over time. We've talked about bar graphs showing a comparison of items. We've talked about numerical data and we've talked about categorical data. So we're going to take a look at both of those and determine which graph would be best for it. Line plots look like this. Look like this. And we've talked about those when we've talked about math minutes. Okay? So let's take a look at section 9.4 in your thin books. Should be on page 73. And again, we're just looking at what graph would be appropriate. Dwight, please come to the office. In this first one, we have Mr. Mackey's farm animals. We know that we have counted how many cows, chickens, goats, horses, and sheep we have. First up, what type of data have we gathered? Is it categorical or numerical?
Categorical?
And how do we know it's categorical?
Because there's different types.
Yeah, there's different types of animals. So when it's categorical, bar graphs are a good way to display that because we're comparing how many animals are in each type of category, right? Each of these are categories. We have different types of animals. How many are in each type of animal? All right? So a bar graph would be the appropriate graph for display categorical. A bar graph would be an appropriate graph for displaying categorical. So we can use the bar graph then to answer several questions about it. What do we have more of? If we compare different types of animals. We can answer all sorts of questions based on that. Okay. As we take a look at the next example, James records the weight of his pet rabbit from birth in the table shown below. So this is the data that he's gathered. Which type of graph is most appropriate for displaying this data? Displaying this data. Well, what type of data is it? Categorical or numerical? Categorical or numerical?
Numerical?
It's numerical data because it is showing measurements. It's the weight of his rabbit, the weight of his rabbit. Okay? It's going to show the change of the weight over time. And because it's showing change of weight over time, then a line graph would be the best. And we show in this that as the rabbit got older, its weight got bigger. All right? So a line graph. Would be appropriate for displaying this numerical data over time. Isaiah, you're not even on the page, and I'm not sure why.
What page is it? It's in the book. I don't have a page. I can't find it. Page 73.
So as we take a look at the next example, the length of a green bean as it is measured every 12 hours. Is this categorical or numerical data? How many showing change over time? Would we make a bar graph, a line graph, or a line plot? Change over time.
A line graph?
A line graph. And why are we using a line graph? It is showing change over time. Why did it do that? I'm not sure why it would do that. Shows change over time. Go ahead and write that down. And then as we take a look at B, the numbers of red, blue, and white cars in the parking garage. Is the data categorical or numerical? How many of you think it's categorical? How many of you think it's numerical? All right, we've got discrepancies here. Why do you think it's categorical? Okay, why do you think it's numerical?
Because because we can count the numbers of red, blue, and white.
Oh, but you just said we were counting the red, blue, and white, which means we were putting them into categories. All right, so it's categorical. Categorical. Okay. Bar graph or line graph? How many think bar graph? How many think line graph? Are we showing change over time? Red, blue, and white. Are we showing change over time?
No.
No, it's a bar graph. We're going to be comparing. We are comparing types of cars. And by type, is it a red type, a blue type, or a white type of a car, right? Okay, by type, we are doing the color this time, right? Questions on that? Part C, the heights of students in Mrs. Cox's class on the first day of school. Categorical or numerical? How many think it's categorical? Numerical? It is numerical. Line plot or line graph? Does it show change over time?
No.
Yes.
No.
So on the first day of school, are we showing change over time?
Yeah.
No, so it has to be a line plot. A line plot. It's everybody's height on the first day of school. So it's got to be a line plot. Does that make sense? Okay. Questions? That's it for math for today.
What? Wow. Yay. Yay. She told us she was lesson. She did. Every day.
So put your math off to the side.
You look like a rat.
Friday we read about personal safety and the things that led up to the accident chain. First off, being the situation that went on, the unsafe habit, and then the unsafe act. The situation being that they were throwing the football in the driveway and it got thrown too high and landed on the roof. And we talked about a better situation would have been to find an open area to throw the football in. Okay. The unsafe habit though was that Greg said he would save time instead of getting a ladder, he would just climb up a tree to get onto the roof. And then the unsafe act was that we did climb the tree. Greg went out on a branch that was way too thin to hold his weight. And the branch broke, and he fell and broke his leg. Okay? So we looked at the accident chain in that way. And we had a discussion on what are some things that we can do to make sure that we keep ourselves safe. And he came up with some pretty good ideas. Right? Today we're going to be taking a look at, let me bring this up. Creating a fictional accident relating to a situation that you pick. You will have to identify the 3 safety issues that went wrong to cause the accident. Okay? Your skit is to be realistic for the situation. Or you can use the situation that you picked, write a skit about the situation, describes you doing the activity safely. So you have a choice of the activity that went wrong or doing the whole thing safely. Does that make sense? Okay. Your group will be presenting the skit to the class. Make sure all group members have an equal part in the presentation. You're then going to write a multiple choice question based on the information you shared. You must include 3 possible answer choices and circle the correct answer. Okay? You'll be graded on you correctly identified 3 safety issues or tips. Your skit has good flow for the selected topic, and you use correct spelling, grammar, and punctuation. You will also be graded on the fact that all members participated equally and could be heard, and that your question is well written and includes correct information and has a correct answer or answers. Okay? So, when we take a look at this, in your books, we have the accident chain. So when we read about what Greg and Maria were doing, we knew the whole situation, right? We knew the unsafe habit and then the unsafe act. So you would need to do that if you were doing what went wrong, right? Or you could describe it in a different way. And if we were going to describe this in everything they did right, we would talk about Greg and Maria were throwing a football out in the open park area across from their house. They were throwing the football back and forth and had plenty of space to throw the football without getting it on a roof or out on the road. So right there would be the first safety thing. They made sure they had plenty of space. Okay? All right? They made sure that they were far away from the road so that the ball did not cause any issues with being out on the road and taking a chance of getting hit. There will be another safety issue. Does that make sense? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you're describing things that we're keeping it safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? So if you go the safe route, then nothing went wrong. Okay? But those are only two. You need a total of 3. Okay? Everybody understand what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So you can either choose to do the unsafe or the safe. Either way though, within your story, you are telling what went on, not saying the first safety tip is, the second safety tip is, the third safety tip is. Within it, we are figuring out what your tips are. Do we understand that? Okay? On the back, there is a planning page. And your planning page is you determining who's involved, what's involved, where is it involved, when did it happen, why did it happen, how did it happen. You determine those things before you start. Are you done? You determine those things before you start determining the whole chain of events. Does that make sense? Because those are going to be the important things within your story. But they need to be filled out here to help you determine what your storyline is going to be. Does that make sense? So this is your planning page. Okay? Do you have questions? Your group can get a book so that you can refer to the Greg and Maria story. You may not use their story or anything closely related. They were throwing a baseball instead of a football. Yeah, no. A frisbee instead of a football. No. Yes. No, you can't do anything closely related to their story. You need to be creative and come up with your own. I just said that. Does that make sense? All right. Any questions? We're missing Emmeline. Who else are we missing? Charles, Logan, Emmeline, and Avery. All right. So they'll have to be their own group. I know we're missing several. They'll be their own group. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, give a number? 3. Does everybody have a number? 1, stand up. All right. You're up here. One of you get a book. Two, stand up. You'll meet over here. Three, stand up. Isaiah, what number are you? There should have been another two. Who's the other two? Who was the one here? No, wait a minute. I can't give each of you one. I thought she gave me a copy for everybody. Have one. You must get one for Liv or something. You guys meet right back there. Three. Is that you guys? Fours. And fives. Fours, why don't you meet up here? And fives, why don't you meet back there? Okay, here's the deal. If when you're working in your group and somebody is not working, I need to know it right away, not at the end. If they're not working, I need to know it right away, and they'll be pulled out and they can do one on their own. Guys, have a seat and get busy. Um, 297.
I know. I was close to Yeah, you can ride your bike every day. Okay.
Well, you did. Because it made it clear. First off, you lied to me. Second off, you're silly. So you have your idea going?
Yeah, he's gonna get rid of the light. I'm gonna put an unsafe area, like right there. You also like nothing.
Do you have your idea?
Oh my God. Their names, I got them sticky on
Okay, I'm going to stop you. The information you're writing down on that sheet, you are going to end up writing a newspaper article with. A newspaper article. The reason you are filling out what's the scoop is so that you can write the article. The article will have that information in it. You are not telling a story with the article. You are being very factual. Does that make sense? In a newspaper article is not a story, a sing-songy story. You know what I'm saying? It is very factual. At 6:15 p.m. on Monday, June 19th, Greg and Maria were throwing a football. It landed on the roof. Greg climbed the tree and fell because the branch he went out on was too small to carry his weight. He was transported by ambulance to the hospital by his parents. Well, he was transported by ambulance to the hospital. His parents met him there, whatever. Okay, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. And, all right. But it's factual. It's not a story. When Greg and Maria were out playing football, do you hear the difference? Okay? So your newspaper article will be factual with the information that you're writing down on what's the scoop. Do you understand that? Okay? Your skit then acts out the newspaper article based on the information you're putting in what's the scoop. When you act out your skit, the rest of us then will be coming up with watching what safety tips you were showing us. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay? Because you're coming up with 3 safety things that should have been going on within that scenario. Does that make sense? Okay? You are not saying in your skit or in your article, number 1, Greg should not have blah, blah, blah. Number 2, Greg should have thought about as another safety measure. And a 3rd safety measure should have been blah, blah, blah. Do not do that in your skit or in your newspaper article. We should be able to pick those out based on what we see in your skit. Does that make sense? Okay? And don't forget, you are to come up with a multiple choice question with 3, is it 3 options?
Yes.
Yes. At least 3 options, okay? That make sense? Okay? You're down to 25 minutes left today. Most of it needs to be done today. What? I'm sorry.
My name's Michael. You're God. I'm the guy that got rid of the name. So that means she's the mom. No. Okay. No, you're gonna be he's a random citizen that saw what happened to the we already know. Aiden and Okay, let's go. What game am I going to try? We're going to try a look like. I love books. I'm going to try